Live. Welcome in, everybody. Hold on a second. There we go. Got to turn this up just a little bit. Welcome in. Whoop. No. Yes. Yes. There we go. Okay. Now we got that one working. All right. Let me turn this down a little bit. Oh boy. Oh boy. All my knobs are screwed up. I apologize for that. Welcome. Cough. 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 I figured be a little bit thin around here tonight, the night before Thanksgiving. Welcome into the Pillow Talk stream. Still got to cough this out. Hold on. Oh, this is going great. Welcome into the Pillow Talk stream, the second of two streams that I do each and every day here. Who am I? Well, I'm Pugs Moran, and I do the high noon stream at noon every day, Monday through Friday. That's noon, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, every Monday through Friday. Today we had a problem. We had no internet today, and we've actually got. We're going to be okay with the internet today. I feel pretty positive about that. That's high noon. That's the first stream that we do Monday through Friday at noon. This one, Pillow Talk. It's myself and James Parker. Pugs and Parker proudly present Pillow Talk on the Radio Misfits podcast platform. We do this one every Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. 9 p.m. Probably not tomorrow because it's Thanksgiving and I don't know what he's got going on. Honestly, I don't know where he is tonight. James Parker is not here. And last night we didn't do a show. Last night we got all kinds of crossed up. So last night I scheduled a show. I was sitting here. I was getting ready to do a show. And then Parker, I fell asleep. To be honest with you, I fell asleep and I woke up like 10 minutes before the show and I ran in here and I forgot to send Parker the note. And we hadn't done Tuesday night shows in months because my kid got games and stuff like that. So I thought maybe Parker didn't know that we had a show yesterday, Tuesday, that we were back on normal Tuesday nights. And so then I canceled the show. And then like 10 minutes later, he's like, hey, did you cancel the show? So I apologize for last night. This morning was just an internet problem. We had no internet here out at the guest house this morning. I had to go into the big house and I had to reconnect everything and plug it back in. And I don't know what happened, but it came back up and it's working. Hi, Jeff. Jeff is here. Thin crowd tonight. I thought it might be. This is a different kind of night. This is not like your normal run-of-the-mill night. Boy, there was a time not too long ago in my past where, actually two different stages. One, my going out partying, and then when I was working, when I was a bartender, woo, you can make a whole month's worth of money on tonight. You could. Tonight was a great tip night. It's also a good night to go out when you're young. Especially this is like probably prime night if you're like 21, 22 years old and you're away at college and you're back home, you're home in where you went to high school or wherever. And so now you're going to like the local bar and you're going to run into people you haven't seen in a couple of years. Like you haven't seen this person in like 3 years and you're going to act like it's been forever. Oh my God. There are people I haven't seen in 3 years who I don't even realize I haven't seen them in 3 years. I still consider them people I see fairly regularly. But whatever, kids, I haven't seen you in 3 years. 3 years ain't that long. That's my point. Clearing the throat. That ain't going to work. I'm telling you, it's going to get worse. But yeah, that's what tonight was. The night before Thanksgiving was always a good night. And then on Thanksgiving, what's the tradition? You go to a movie? And so we used to go to a movie. We'd go to a movie on Thanksgiving night. And not like me and family. No, you and your friends. You and your friends go out. And then once you turn 21, then you go to a bar and you realize how sad bars are on Thanksgiving. You be in a bar at like 9:30 at night on Thanksgiving. There's just like 6 people in there. And you and your buddies are like looking to party because you're college kids. Yeah, well, that's what happens. I have no idea where James is, so maybe I should try and give him a call, see where he is. He might still be in that night before Thanksgiving is a huge party night mode. So, you never can tell with him. Let's give him a call. Let's see what he's doing. Trying to call James Parker, who should be streaming with us right now.
Oh, hey there.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Damn it, hanging out with family.
Okay.
I'll jump right on.
Okay. All right. All right, so there you have it. See, I told you it's going to be a weird night. There's hardly anybody here, but I think it's going to be a good night because I've got a bunch of stuff that I want to get into, and stuff that I specifically want to get into with James. Um, okay, so here's a couple of things. The Jerry Jones story. Are you guys following the Jerry Jones story? I want to talk about that. A picture has surfaced of Jerry Jones attending. Like back in he's from Arkansas. Okay, Jerry Jones is a dude from Arkansas. He's like of a certain age, so he was in high school back at a time when during segregation, integration, forced integration, bus, all that kind of stuff. So apparently a picture surfaced today of Jerry Jones as a young man in a crowd with a bunch of white people not wanting a black kid to go to school. So I want to talk to Parker about that story. That's why he's trending. Also, I want to talk about I wanted to get into probably won't have time for it tonight, but I wanted to talk about this Todd Chrisley thing. You guys watch this reality show, Chrisley Knows Best? Wanted to talk to Parker about this because there's all kinds of weird shit. This guy, well, anyway, we'll save that for the back burner. We'll wait for James, see if we get time for that one. Also, been a bunch of shootings. I wanted to talk a little bit about so on Saturday night, we had the shooting in Colorado Springs at the gay club. What was I can't remember the name of the club though. I apologize. 5 people were killed. I want to say like 25 others were injured. Uh, just gross. Big giant fat kid. He's like 6'6", 300 pounds. Just a big dumb goober. He comes walking in, he he takes everybody down, and then he gets taken down by a bunch of drag queens, and they stomp on his face, and he was in the hospital for a couple of days. Anyway, his dad is out there talking, and his dad is somebody you should know. So I want to talk about that as well. Look, everybody, James Parker is here. It's James Parker. What are you drunk because you were drinking with the family?
No, look, I know my parents aren't watching this. So I had to take my father-in-law back to my parents' house because they're in town to stay for Thanksgiving. And my dad came up with some chintzy reason to run to the store real quick. Because the truth is he wanted to stop by the gas station and buy a new vape pen because his battery died and he can't sneak his weed vape in front of my mom anymore. And
Your dad's an outlaw in the state of Texas. You people go to jail for that kind of behavior around here. Just ask David Crosby.
Please, it's medicinal. Please, yeah.
Well,
That's prescription and everything.
Yeah.
So that's what I was doing, running clandestine errands with my dad to support his weed habit.
All right, very good. Hey, do you got anything today? Because I got a bunch of things we can run through. But mainly, here's what I want to do.
I was not going to miss the show for. I want to do a show so bad on Monday, and then I want to do a show so bad yesterday, and I have just a pyramid of stuff built up.
Okay. All right, good. But we have to save a significant amount of time on today's show for the Idaho murder case.
Do it first.
Well, I don't know if I want to do it first. You got something you want to start us off with? You just said you got a whole stockpile. No, because we might dig into this, and I'd rather run out of time with this than cut it short because we want to get to something that I think is of lesser quality.
All right. So I have 4 kids. So a big chunk of the last decade of my life has been the absolute beating that is going to your kids' school presentations. So whether it's coming up on the holidays or Christmas time or whenever they're about to get out of school, like into school or springtime or whatever, I have to go to like all these concerts or all these little presentations where some kindergarten class has to sing a crappy song and they're all off key and it's all terrible and no one's even watching. They're just filming it with their camera and it's like a whole thing. So my youngest of 4 is 7. So I've been to 100 of these and they're all entirely boring. And, you do go back and watch the footage sometimes, but none of the presentations have ever been like this. So I'm out here in Bug Tussle, middle of nowhere, East Texas. And so when I talk about the 2nd grade class at Bullard, I'm talking about maybe 50 kids. All right. They're divvied up into 3 classes. And my daughter's class is in the little chunk that's on the right side of the stage. There's a chunk on the left side of the stage, and then there's a chunk that's on like a choir stand, like the little 3.
We're talking about like some sort of Thanksgiving pageant type deal.
Yeah. So 2nd grade, Bug Tussle, primary school. It's Grandparents' Day is how it was billed. So we go out there, and it's me and a bunch of I get to go because my grandparents or her grandparents, my parents aren't very ambulatory, so they kind of needed my help. And so we go there and Pledge of allegiance to the American flag, pledge of allegiance to the Texas flag, which didn't get nearly the same response because I don't even know it. And then they sing God Bless America, which was beautiful, wildly off key, but beautiful sentiment. And then they break into one of the most positive, uplifting, beautiful, happy songs in human history. Here Comes the Sun from the Beatles. Now, my daughter has been playing it on her Alexa nonstop for about a month, perfecting it, belting it at the top of her lungs. So I knew this was coming. And it was really cute because I'm only like 4 rows back. And we're in the cafeteria, by the way. We're not in an auditorium. We're really close. And if I kind of turn my head, I can literally hear my daughter because she's screaming it over all the rest of them. Right. And so I'm really proud. You know, you don't even expect to know your 7-year-old or expect your 7-year-old to know what the Beatles are. But here, my daughter's just proud as a peacock. Just
Does she know her dad hates them and thinks they're wildly overrated and they suck?
I love them and I think they are overrated, but I don't think they suck.
Thought you hated them. Okay, go ahead. Continue. All
No,
right.
I'm a huge fan. I just think they're overrated.
Hmm.
I'm a complex fan. So we're kind of getting into the last little refrain here, and your radio DJ mind can tell when the last 20 seconds of a song are popping up, right? So they're winding down, and you know what? I'm not even going to film this. I'm just going to soak it in and watch my daughter.
There you
And
go. Make the memory.
yeah, be in the moment.
Feel it.
And then I hear like a little bit of a noise, and I look to the right, and 4 rows down from my daughter. My daughter's like the third tallest one in her class, so she's in the back row. And in the middle row to her left, 4 kids, is Jose. And Jose's in the middle row. He has people in front of him, and he's holding his mouth.
Oh man, what's Jose doing?
And so then the song comes to a slow end. Na 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 na. And right as it ended, Jose rage barfs.
Oh no!
So it's an
Jose.
adorable 7-year-old kid. You know, this little black-haired boy just goes,
Great.
oh, and through his hands,
Great.
it fountains out onto the 2 girls in front of him. And there's a chubby kid in a black short sleeve shirt that got a little bit on his arm. So the girls start going, ah! The kid, the boy, the chubby kid in the black shirt just screams like one of those goat videos where they're like, ah! You know, the goat.
Yeah, the fainting goats. Yeah,
He does that. However, I know, you know, most of the people watching know, because this isn't our first time to throw up, that there's more coming.
Oh yeah.
But Jose doesn't know. And the
Uh,
girl in front of him doesn't know. And the fat kid in the black shirt doesn't know.
that's
And
unfortunate.
so no one just runs up there and I don't know what you're supposed to do. Just like dive and
Run away
slap.
from him. Run away from him, and then a mom with a bucket needs to come from somewhere.
So Jose gets another full second volley on the 3 kids in front of him because none of them had moved at this point. They're just screaming.
Jose.
So
Jose is never going to live this down. This is going to follow Jose all the way through high school.
Right, and this isn't like
no.
This isn't like in TV shows where you know someone puts like whipped cream in their mouth and it just goes "Pleh," and there's like a blast. No, it is like it's a gush that lasts for like a good second, which is a long time in gush time. Right?
Jose told his mom earlier this evening they didn't feel well.
It feels so good, right?
His mom thought he was just trying to get out of doing this pageant thing, and she made him go.
Yeah, you shut up. No.
You're just trying to get out of doing your pageant. No,
So
Mom, I really don't feel good.
So some brave teacher does that little duck running thing like Saving Private Ryan, you know, where she runs, she grabs Jose by the arm, and he's like fighting her, trying to get off. Like, no, why are you pulling me off the stage? We're supposed to be up here. Oh my God, I'm sick. And so she gets him, and he gives up, and he starts going. And as she's pulling him out of the cafeteria, he gives one last like sort of salute, you know, to the crowd because he's looking at us and we're looking at him.
Jose's a showman to the very end. Jose is just he's leaving it all out there on the stage. I love Jose.
Right. So
he's never living this down, but I love Jose.
The third volley's not nearly as impressive. It's you know, it's all he had left, and you can tell like his abdominal muscles were pushing just as hard as the first 2 times. There just wasn't enough ammo in the cannon, and so it's just like this limp little arc that falls sadly and splats on the tile of the Bug Tussle Middle School gym right as he's going out the door. And so then instead of going on with the presentation, because there was another song, the guy doesn't hit the button, no one knows what to do, and after like I know it felt like an hour, but it's like a minute, like 1 minute. But that's a long time for everyone to just sit there and go, oh, and all, rattling around.
And now it's starting to smell. They gotta go out and get that
No,
orange
no, it's not
sawdust
to get the
stuff.
whole cafeteria.
No, don't you gotta get the orange sawdust stuff, that in the bag when a kid pukes in class, and then that stuff, you gotta get
I
that
waited
stuff.
around because I wanted to see what 2022 brings, and if they did have the old sawdust or kitty litter or whatever they used to put it
No,
on.
Drew, you know the stuff I'm talking about? It was in a
Oh, I
little
know
it
exactly what you're talking about because it was
was
universal.
orange,
It was,
and
it
it
was like,
smelled weird.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like a dust that kind of smelled like the lava soap that you would do your hands with in the garage, or the orange.
And the orange smell lingered for days. So you
Yeah,
always knew that if you had just walked into a classroom that smelled like that some kid puked in that classroom within the last few days.
because it was all orangey. Right.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
So, couple observations. Now this all ended when the Buck Tussle Primary School principal gets up there, a guy that just seems like a 5'4" latent homosexual, but seems like he's good at his job, so let him go. He's like, well, that's going to be enough for the presentation today. If you want to sign out your kids, you can go down and get them a little wristband, and they can go ahead and get out early today. Have a happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Uh,
So he's doing that, but I make some observations in the meantime because I'm a keen observer of my fellow human. And
I
when
bet he's single and very active in the community church.
I dresses well, he always has dippity doo in his hair. He
Yeah.
looks great.
Sweater vests. He likes them.
You nailed it. He is a sweater vest fella.
Mhm.
Yeah, the elementary school or primary school Bug Tussle principal. So I look through the crowd because I want to see what my fellow man, how they're soaking this in. And I could divide it into 3 categories. And men are the simplest. So 100% of us were in the category of no one's horrified, no one's worried. We're all
Smiling. They're
we're
enjoying it.
this is the best presentation we've ever been to. Now,
Biological chaos. Yeah, that's
Now
fine.
the women actually have, fully developed human emotions and have an array of reactions. And some women are there's the women that are chuckling like the dudes, and then there's the women that are sort of like concerned. Now I can subdivide the concerned women into the women that are concerned, like, oh my God, I feel so sorry for Jose because he's never going to live this down. That must be so embarrassing for him. That must be so embarrassing for his parents. That must be so embarrassing for the girls that got puked on, etc. And then there's the like small, like 5% of the population that I would like to choke until they pass out, like Debo did to Craig on Friday, that are concerned. Oh my God, that kid is sick. We should call an ambulance or a hospital or sue or something. There were a handful of people that were genuinely concerned that this was some sort of medical emergency. And
You need
calm
an
down.
ambulance every time you puke? Is that outside say this person? You call an ambulance every time you puke. Oh,
People
sit
live.
down and shut up, you alarmist.
Yeah,
Silly.
there's about 3, maybe 5% of the population that just lives for emergencies and then throw
yeah.
themselves in the middle of it.
Oh, yeah.
So that was the greatest child's presentation I've ever been to, and I told my kids about it. And then now we play "Here Comes the Sun" and we say like "Here Comes Jose," and we
See? He's never gonna live it down.
Oh,
See,
no,
you're already proving it.
Well, I don't think he has to move. I take that back. Jose might be not ossified, not glorified, but deified for this. This may be like a plus in the column. Hey, remember that time Jose puked all over everyone at the presentation? Best presentation ever. That's right. High five, Jose.
And in 8 years, Jose might show up on your doorstep in a tuxedo looking to take your daughter to a dance. And you're going to be like, is that the kid who puked at the thing? And all of a sudden, you're going to be like, Jose, come on in here, man. See, he's a celebrity. He's a local celebrity for the next 10 years of his education.
You're so right, because that's what happens when you grow up in Bug Tussle. You're going to show up, to your date, and he's going to be, oh, hey, you need some Pepto? I've got some Pepto in the pantry real quick. You want to, I don't know, you feeling nervous or anything? Yeah, you never let that stuff down. So that's the greatest child's presentation I've ever been to.
He's going to have some vomit nickname associated to him. I don't know, puking Jose, or I don't know. Something like that's going to be, the kids in the neighborhood are going to come up with it, and it's going to stick, and he's going to be called Puke until he's like 40. They're still going to be calling him old Puke. Puke Gonzalez. Why do you call him that?
There's the rule in small towns, it's called F1 goat.
Yeah, there you go. And you are the goat effer guy.
Yeah, the goat
well, that sounds like a whole lot of fun.
It was great. It was the best one I've been to.
So, quickly right here, I want to talk to you about the father of the shooter of the Q gay bar there, the LBGB, well, I don't, what's it called, bar something, Colorado Springs over the weekend. There was another one of these mass shootings. Some big, giant, fat, gross, awkward, 6'6", 335 pounds, 22-year-old, big old dumb goober. He walks into this place, does his little thing because, and then he gets the shit kicked out of him by a major in the Marine Corps who was there, who tackled him, disarmed him, and then pinned him to the ground while a bunch of drag queens stomped his face with heels. That's why he was in the hospital for 3 days. So anyway, this cretin's dad is showing up. Did you see his dad? His dad is showing up. It went viral because well, his dad is quite a piece of work. Now, I want to show you the dad. Have you seen this yet? Do you know what this is?
I've not seen this dad, no.
Okay, so I don't know. Again, the sound might not be good. I'm sorry. I apologize, but you just got to get a look at this guy, okay? So this is the shooter's dad. And then just bear with me. The shooter's dad has a resume like you would not believe. Wait till you hear about this guy, okay? He ain't just James. I'll put it to you this way, James. The shooter's dad has a Wikipedia page.
Is he from radio? Is he a radio guy? Is this another one of those?
No, I'll tell you what he is, but he's got a Wikipedia page, and it's not like one of those Wikipedia pages that someone who's just kind of famous has, where it's like one paragraph. It's a Wikipedia page that predates the actions of his son. This guy, wait till you hear about this guy. This is the father. Okay, so here he is. This is yeah. So this is the father of the shooter talking about his son. Okay. Oh, this is also why right now Josh Brolin.
Yeah, he looks like Josh Brolin, maybe half kin Shamrock.
Very interesting that you would say that. Okay, so I don't know what the sound is going to sound like, but
we're shooting at one, there are multiple people, and then I go on there, I want to find it's a gay bar.
Yeah, right. And
I was like, oh my god, he's gay. I just scared her. Oh my god, shit, he's gay. And he's not gay, so it's just.
All right, so that's. I don't know if you could hear that, James. But basically, he's all methed out of his friggin' gourd, and he's standing in front of his house, and he is talking to reporters about his son. And his big concern was that when he heard it was a gay bar, his big concern was that his son was gay. Not that his son actually just murdered 5 people, but when he learned that his son wasn't gay, that he showed up to kill people, his reaction was, like he was relieved when his son, who just armored up, walked into a club and just slaughtered innocent people. That's fine with dad. But he was really concerned that, wait, does this mean my son is gay? I don't know if you could hear that.
Oh my god. No, I couldn't hear that guy was sounding like he was possessed by a demon. I don't know if
yeah, he's
got
echo.
Without an echo, does he still sound like demonic?
Yes, yeah, that was the whole thing. You can't really understand what he was saying because he was all messed out. But when I found out that it was a gay bar, I was like, wait, my kid ain't gay. I'm a Mormon. We don't do that. I'm literally.
He said, "I'm a Mormon. We don't do that."
I'm a Mormon. We don't do gay.
Well, he's going to be very disappointed because the last I heard about this shooter is his lawyer released a statement yesterday saying that the guy's non-binary. He goes by they, them pronouns, and instead of Mr. or Mrs., he's going to be referred to as mix during all future proceedings. MX instead of MR.
Yeah, no, that was a request. That's not true, though. The lawyer put that out. That the family is saying that no, that's not true.
Well,
see, I don't know why the lawyer is doing that.
I find that interesting too, because now this is a defense mechanism that I expected someone to try this, because if that's not true, then he's just saying it in order to build the case that this wasn't a hate crime. Like, how can I do a hate crime against the trans community or the non-binary community when I am one?
Yeah, I think that's what they're saying.
And so look, they're going to get busted really easy if they're lying about that, though, because these people have.
Well, I can't imagine he has a great attorney. He's got the first attorney who showed up at the courthouse willing to represent him for free.
Doing the public defender, because I don't think Dad's springing for the high dollar attorney.
They do not, even though Dad has his own Wikipedia page, and it's a big Wikipedia page.
Wikipedia page for meth heads don't normally get a Wikipedia page.
Well, here, I pulled up the Wikipedia page of Aaron Brink. That's his name, Aaron Brink. Also known by his stage name, Dick Delaware.
Wow. This just got better. Okay.
He's legendary American porn star Dick Delaware. Dick Delaware has been doing porn for like
Right.
30 years.
So he's sexually
And
open-minded enough as a Mormon to do porn, but gay.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, let's not get out of control here. That's way too perverted.
Yeah. And he's obviously not keeping up with the Mormon Church because it was just last week where the Mormon Church said that they support the protection of gay marriage bill that's going through. So apparently the Mormons are now kind of okay with the gay thing. So Aaron Franklin, known by his stage name as Dick Delaware, is an American professional mixed martial artist and porn actor. Now, here's where my mind is blown. Because I know him as Aaron Brink. I remember when Aaron Brink was a heavyweight in the UFC. I remember Aaron Brink fighting Andre.
He's not some guy that just takes like Brazilian jiu-jitsu classes at the strip mall.
No.
Like he's like a for real.
He's a legit fighter. Yeah, he's a legit fighter. He hasn't fought in like 10 years.
You
like,
don't accidentally get into a UFC fight. You have at least won something somewhere, right?
Yeah, he was a King of the Cage champion. He won a couple of things, but he was in the UFC for a number of years. I particularly remember his fight against Andre Arlovsky because Andre Arlovsky is one of my favorite heavyweights of all time. But what I didn't know is that Aaron Brink, the MMA fighter, was also Dick Delaware, the porn star. I had no idea that these two guys were the same person. And here, let me read this to you. He is the father of Anderson Lee Aldrich, the accused perpetrator of the Club Q shooting on November 19, 2022. In an interview after the shooting, Brink said that when he learned the shooting was at a gay bar, he was initially horrified by the possibility that his son might be gay. Then he was relieved to find out that that wasn't the case. Later, the reporter mentioned that his reaction was not included in the original report, but when Brink learned about the victims, he profusely apologized to the community. Okay, so in full fairness to him, he says that he came back later and said, "But I do apologize, but I am glad that my kid ain't gay." So how about that? He's crazy world, huh? I mean, I got nothing. I'm kind of speechless.
It sounds a lot like what we saw in The Sopranos, and this is still kind of fresh in my mind because that was new to me. In the fact that Vic, the latent homosexual, they weren't concerned that he was murdering people. They weren't concerned that he was, fronting drugs and gambling and prostitution in the neighborhood, and they weren't concerned that he was preying on people who had gambling addictions and all the destruction he brought. They thought he was an awful human being because he was interested in dudes.
Here's a picture of him. There you go. That's his Wikipedia picture. There he is. That's old Dick Delaware. So when you said that he reminds you of Ken Shamrock, I'm like, yeah, he's like a fighter of that era. He's an old-time MMA
Can't believe
fighter.
I was that close.
Yeah, you were. All right. Here, let's show you this.
Probably not even from Delaware.
Look at this. This Wikipedia page. You and I don't have a Wikipedia page. Look at this. This is like a real Wikipedia. Look, it keeps going. Legal issues, fight cards. Look at this. Look at his fights. Look at all of the fights he's had.
Dang.
Yes, man. I'm telling you, he's been around forever. And and I don't mean to laugh. I laugh because it's so weird, and that's just sort of
so weird.
Obviously, what happened is a tragedy, but this is some bizarre stuff. The shooter's dad is Dick Delaware. Aaron Brink, the MMA fighter. That mind blower. So there you have it. And he's happy that his son isn't gay. That was his big concern, James. When he was told that his son shot up a gay bar, he was like, "But my son ain't gay." And that was.
I just have a hard time in my head understanding how the Venn diagram doesn't overlap completely between porn star and okay with gay. Like.
Yeah, he's got a very strange, slippery slope there with the morality as it pertains to sexuality. Like he seems to be okay with meaningless promiscuity, but not
as long as it's not gay,
not homosexual. Yeah, right, but not homosexual. So I don't know.
And you're okay with meth apparently because you look like you were jacked up or night.
Yeah, no, he's been arrested like 19 times for possession of methamphetamine. So if you're getting a sense that maybe he enjoys methamphetamine from that short clip, you'd be onto something because he does have a history of being Mr. Methamphetamine. All right, you want to go into the Idaho murders or you got something else?
No, go straight into Idaho murders. Let's ride this wave.
All right, I want to talk about this. We mentioned it last week. Now, this happened a week ago Monday. We are 10 days now. Oh, no, not a week ago Monday, a week ago Sunday. They found the bodies on Sunday morning. These are four students from the University of Idaho. This is in Moscow, Idaho. Okay, very small town, 25,000 people, I think is what they say the town is. 4 victims were found on Sunday afternoon, just after noon. The victims were, let me see here. Let me make sure I get all these names properly. Okay. Yeah. So we've got Xana Kernoodle, 20 years old. Ethan Chapin, 20 years old. Kaylee Gonclaves, 21 years old. And Madison Mogan, 21 years old. Those are the 4 victims who were found on Sunday. They all lived in a house together. They live just about, we'll look at the map if you want, because I was checking out the neighborhood and checking out the bars they were hanging out at and all that good stuff. I am fascinated by this story. They were found murdered. They were murdered with a knife. They were butchered. Some of them were butchered in their sleep. And as police described today, almost all of them had defensive wounds. Okay, so they were in their beds. Xander Kernoodle and Ethan Chapin were boyfriend and girlfriend. They were in the same bedroom. Ethan Chapin didn't live in the house. The housemates were Xana Kernoodle, Kaylee Gonclaves, Madison Mogan, and then 2 other girls who have not been named yet. 2 other girls were roommates living in the house. These 2 other girls were in the house at the time that these 4 were slaughtered, butchered with a knife. Police are saying that it's a single fixed blade that they're looking for. They haven't found the murder weapon. The murders occurred on the 2nd and 3rd floors. Okay, so there are 3 floors in this house. Each floor has 2 bedrooms. There are 6 bedrooms. Okay, the murders occurred on the 2nd and 3rd floor. So that means the 1st floor bedroom, that's one of the survivors. And okay, so anyway, the reason that we're saying this is because there were 2 people who supposedly slept through this murder. 4 people were murdered with a butcher knife by what police are saying is probably one guy. Although I don't know how this is one guy. How do you murder with a knife 4 people and not wake up people in other rooms in the same apartment? You know what I mean? How do you not wake up, especially when, one of them was a guy. So you got to imagine he fought back. You got to imagine there was screaming. You got to imagine things were being knocked about. Okay, so that's what we know. On Monday morning, the 2 girls who had slept through it woke up. One of the girls went to get one of the victims, but she wasn't waking up and her bedroom door was locked. So she banged on the door. Come on, wake up. We got to do this thing. I don't know, college kids, right? Sunday, maybe they're going to church together or something. Come on, let's go. You got to go back. She wouldn't get up. So instead of calling 911 or breaking into the room because the door was locked, what she did was she called their mutual friends who lived in the neighborhood. So the friends came over. And when the friends, come on, wake up, come wake. When the friends couldn't rouse them, then one of the friends said, we got to call 911. We're either going to break the door down or call 911. Are you sure she's in there? Yeah, I'm sure she's in there. I heard her when they came home last night. All right. So now they call 911. And the reason they're calling 911 is because they have a friend. Remember, the initial 911 call was a friend is not responding. And we were wondering, well, didn't they see the murder? Because they were murdered with knives. Why wouldn't they say my friend has been stabbed to death? Well, the reason they only said not responding is because they couldn't get into the room.
They locked the door on the way out, whoever the killer is. Okay.
Yeah, or maybe that's just a privacy thing. A bunch of girls living together. You know what I mean? Maybe they lock their doors at night. Maybe they just... So the police show up and the police are like, well, this ain't right. So they open up the door and they find her stabbed to death. And then they're like, okay, where's the other roommate? So then they start finding one by one all of these roommates. I mean, 4 dead kids, 2 20-year-olds, 2 21-year-olds, 3 girls, 1 boy, 10 days in this tiny little town in Moscow. The FBI are now in control of the case. And there are no answers. And the police initially said, there's nothing to be afraid of. This is under control. This is isolated. There isn't a person out. And then a couple of days later, they walked that back. And when the FBI took over, the FBI was like, yeah, you shouldn't have said that because we don't have any suspects. Somebody slaughtered 4 kids with a butcher knife in this town 10 days ago. And we understand. I mean, I'm paraphrasing what the FBI said, but basically they were saying, we understand why they tried to calm you down, but no, we need you people looking for everything that you can see because as of right now, there are no suspects. Now it gets weirder. Do you want to go through the timeline, or do you want to chime in here? Do you have any comments so far? Because the timeline of the night leading up to when they believe the murders occurred is fascinating. There is a lot of stuff.
Initial reactions right here. I find it really hard to believe we're 10 days into this and they don't have a suspect. They don't a person of interest. Nothing. Wow.
Not even a person of interest. And not only that, but they have named about 15 people who are either captured on Ring doorbells with them that night, or are known to have been at the house when the police showed up, or were sleeping in the house when the murders occurred. Like 10 people, the police have said none of them are suspects. And there's a couple I haven't mentioned that we'll get to in a minute who really should be suspects. And the police are going, nah, we don't think they're suspects.
Okay. Now, you and I have covered 1,000 of these, and this is almost unheard of that they don't have a suspect at this point. It's also unheard of that there would be an attack that this brutal, this personal, this intimate, and he doesn't know them. So this is almost certainly someone that has some sort of association with somebody in this house. This is very unlikely to be just a random psycho Buffalo Bill killer who just like, I'd fuck me, one of those guys.
Yeah. This is very Richard Speck-like. Richard Speck is the drifter who broke into the apartment that housed all the student nurses back in 1967, I think, and slaughtered them all.
Not impossible, but that's how rare of territory we're in. Not impossible.
Yeah, it's not. It would be very random, but hey, we're in some very random, violent times. So who knows? All right. So here's how the day started. They all woke up on Saturday, their last days on life. They woke up on Saturday in life. They woke up on Saturday and they went to the University of Idaho football game. It was a Saturday home game on the campus of the University of Idaho. So what are they doing, James? They're day drinking. They're probably sloshed by noon, right? At the tailgate.
Yeah, go Vandals, or aren't they the Vandals?
We looked it up. I don't know what they are. I don't know what they are.
The Vandals?
The Taters. All right, so they all go to a football game. By all,
they should be the Taters, by the way. If they're not the Taters, go fix the error you made right now. Take Pug's suggestion.
So they all go to the Taters game, all the roommates, and then after the game, a couple of them go back to the house to sleep it off. And then there's not a whole lot said about what they were doing throughout the afternoon. However, as good college kids do, they rallied. They rallied at about 7 o'clock at night.
And 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock nap. I've been there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. It's the Vandals, by the way.
It is the Vandals.
It should be Taters.
All right. So they all went to a football game. Chapin, it's Ethan Chapin, the boy who was murdered, and his girlfriend, Aya Kernoodle, they went to a frat party at his fraternity at 8 o'clock Saturday night. So they're at a frat party. They returned home, although it says here they left the frat party at 9 o'clock. And then there is no accounting for where they were until they returned home to the murder house at 1:45. So I think they were in a bar, but they don't want to say that because they're only 20 years old. So I think they went to a frat party and then went to a bar, but they can't say that. So anyway, hey, have at it. They're dead now. So what are we doing here? We're not making fun of them. They're kids. We all did it. So they get home at 1:45. That's the boyfriend and the girlfriend. They probably, let's get home before everybody else gets home in the house. We can be alone. You know how that is, right? You try and get home before the roommates.
Come home with X's on your hands.
Yeah. And then at 11 p.m., Mogan, that's Madison Mogan and Kaylee Gonclaves, they're the 21-year-olds. They rallied themselves. They got a late start on the night. At 11 p.m., they ended up going to the Corner Club Bar, which is a bar there. They're 21, so they can go. It's a bar there. It looks like a big college bar there in the town. So they're there until about 1:30. At 1:30, the bar closes. They leave. Their next scene at it's called the Corner Club Bar.
Corner Club Bar. Just nice generic college bar name.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it is. It is 100% generic college here. Is this it? Yeah, I think this might be it. Here you go, James. This is where they were. This is where they spent their last night. Is that it? There we go. Yeah. Look at that. Does that look like a college bar or what?
See, the thing that cracks me up about their situation is they're at the University of Idaho in Moscow, Idaho, which is about 25,000 people. And I went to college at East Texas Baptist University, which is in Marshall, Texas, which is about 25,000 people. And that looks like where we hung out.
Oh, yeah. Look, I mean, this looks like when you pull out of the map, you see that this street 95 here, this is the main drag through the town where all the bars are. I mean, look at this. Does this look like a college town? Look at this building. You only get buildings shaped like this in small rural college towns.
Yeah. And that's where I went, man. These feels like they're walking the same streets I walked.
So that's where they went. They were at that bar, and then they went to a food truck, and there was a security camera captured them at the food truck, and they're waiting on their food, and they're getting ready. Like you'll do. You go out to a bar. They went to the
Sounds like a
football game.
perfect Saturday when you're 21. You go to a college
Perfect
football
college
game,
Saturday.
you go to a frat party, you go to a bar, get some Mexicans on your hand, hit the food truck at midnight. That sounds great.
So they head back to the house and with their food. Now they got a ride back to the house by another friend, just someone who pulled up, and they got in the car with this person and they were taken back to the home. James, the police have also cleared that person as a suspect. So one by one, everybody these people met the entire day, the police have been clearing as suspects. It really doesn't make any sense. So they get back to the house, they eat their food, probably like a hoagie sandwich or something, maybe they're having a glass of wine. And guess what happens next, James?
I have no idea.
This is where it gets interesting. 21-year-old Kaylee Conclaves at this point begins to drunk dial her recent ex-boyfriend. She called him 7 times between 11 p.m. Madison, they go to the club, blah, blah, blah. 1:40, Madison and Kaylee Conclave are seen at the food truck. 1:56, neighbors, ring camera captures them arriving home with their food. All right, between 2:26 and 2:52, 7 unanswered calls were made from Conclave's phone to Jack Ducour, who they say was sleeping. Jack is her ex-boyfriend. They had been together for years, all throughout high school until very recently. Jack is also a student at the University of Idaho. She called him 7 times from not only her phone, but also from Mogan's phone, her friend Madison Mogan's phone. So there were 7 calls placed between. She's drunk dialing her ex-boyfriend. He's not picking up. Okay.
This is happening every weekend in America, 1,000 million times. Madison and Kaylee are drunk dialing their ex at 2:30.
Ex-boyfriends to see if they can get him over. Let's hook up for one last time. The boyfriend has already been completely cleared by the police. The police are like, nah, we don't think he did it. And the family, Kaylee Conclave's family, is also saying that, no, Jack wouldn't do that. Jack, I don't know. I think we look a little, let's just put a pin in Jack, okay? Let's not move on from Jack quite as quickly as it seems the Moscow Police Department has.
Okay.
All right. So then between 2:26 and 2:52, 7 unanswered calls were made from Conclave's phone to Jack Ducour. Calls were also made to Jack from Mogan's phone. Jack has no comment on any of the phone calls other than to say that he was sleeping, and that's why he didn't answer. The victim's family stands behind Jack 100%. The murders occurred shortly after these phone calls. They believe between an hour and an hour and a half after these phone calls. All 4 were stabbed repeatedly multiple times in their beds, possibly while sleeping. The house has 6 bedrooms with 2 bedrooms on each floor. The victims of the murder were on the 2nd and the 3rd floor. When the 2 survivors woke up, they called some friends because they thought one of the roommates wasn't waking up, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we covered all that. All right, so there you have it. So this little town, by the way, the university is getting all up in the police's business because none of the students have been in class since this happened. Now, a lot of them went home for the holiday break, but the week before the holiday break, it was a ghost town because there's someone who killed 4 people still on the loose. Would you allow your daughter to remain at the university, or would you say, come home a little bit early? We can do these COVID things. You can take your classes online from the safety of your bedroom until the Moscow Police Department figures out who murdered 4 innocent kids in their little college apartment. I'll show you the apartment. That's it. That's the food truck. Hold on.
All right, look. Here's what is my head screaming. Tell me they know more than they're letting us know. Please, God, don't let them know nothing about anyone of interest and have no leads whatsoever. That can't be the case. That can't
Uh,
be the case.
I watched the press conference today, James. They don't know anything. They don't know anything, and they're trying to act like it's perfectly okay that they don't know anything. It's as if they're saying, "We don't know anything. Anything can happen next." But don't you be upset about it. Just calm down. Everything's fine. We're in total control. But we don't know anything. This is the murder house right here. This is where it took place. We'll get rid of this one. Yeah, I want to get rid of that. All right. So, yeah. Here. I mean, the murder house too just
I
looks
tell
like
you,
the
man,
typical.
where I went to college too, there would be like a house that had a couple living in it, and they rented out 4 of the bedrooms to 4 different college students all around the campus. Like the neighborhood around my campus, that was the second income for almost everyone that lived in that neighborhood, was just renting out a back room or a back suite to college.
But they still live there? Like the people who own the house still live there? Because I wouldn't
So,
want to do
so what
that.
I'm seeing here is I saw these where I went to college. In that front house, there's a couple that lives. They might have a kid or two even, but usually they didn't have a kid. And there were a lot of times there'd be a separate building like you see here with the garage that that
Mhm.
has a couple on the first floor, a couple on the second floor. There weren't a whole lot of, I did see 1 or 2 third stories, but that's kind of rare. So
Yeah, well, this is the 3 stories of the house where the murders occurred. You can see that there are 3 distinct stories with 2 bedrooms on each
yep.
story. The murders took place on the second, and the third person on the first floor was unharmed.
Yeah, okay. So
Slept
look,
good.
there's some things we can tell about just this picture though. It is if you're gonna go on a murdering spree and you want to catch as many people as possible, this looks like a place that only has 1 entrance and 1 exit, basically, that front door. You know, if you're caught in the melee and you're on the 3rd floor, how do you get out but by going by the knife wielding maniac? You don't.
Yeah, there's not really a good way to get a good look at, I don't even know if we can go up here. Yeah, you can't even get a side look, so I don't know if there's more than 1 entrance, but I wonder if any of these are their cars, you know? Isn't that a dark thought?
Probably
Excuse.
not. It's not.
I have such weird dark thoughts. All right, here, let me go through you a little bit. Here's the latest because there was a big
Unusual that we have no leads on this dude.
there are 0. Uh, there are 0. There was nothing. They know absolutely nothing, and that's what the purpose of this press conference was. A suspect or suspects have not been identified in the murder of 4 University of Idaho students who were found stabbed to death in Moscow, Idaho. This, according to police. But a clearer timeline of the students' final hours is now emerging as police ask for help in solving their deaths. Here's what we know so far: Madison Mogan, 21; Kaylee Conclave's 21; Zena Kernoodle, 20; and Ethan Chapin, 20. Were found dead when members of the Moscow Police Department responded to a report of an unconscious person that they received around 11:58 on Sunday morning, November the 13th. 3 of the women were roommates who lived in the home. Chapin did not live there. He was dating Kernoodle. All 4 members were in fraternities or sororities. And then it goes on to do the timeline that I just told you. What are police saying? Police, in addition to 2 surviving roommates, there were other friends at the house at the time of the 911 call,
Wow.
Fry said. Remember, she called friends because she couldn't wake her up and she didn't know if she should break the door down or not. So instead of calling 911, she did what I think most normal college kids, she's drunk, she's passed out. I'm going to call my friends. I'm going to get a little idea on what to do. I mean, she could have easily dialed 911, but would you dial
Well,
911 if
also
you're drunk?
in these situations where you're living in a place with 5 other people, the chances are you've only known your roommates for 2 or 3 months. And so what is this, November? So these are people like I got stuck with people almost every semester that I didn't know, and except for one when I got to choose all my roommates. And so these you think, well, they're roommates, aren't they good friends that can, knock on the door, or did they really need to call? No, they need to call a friend because they're a friend's better than your roommate when you're in college.
Yeah, you need to get a quorum of people
And
present before
also,
you violate.
here
They are all, however, just an amendment to what you just said there. All of these girls were in the same sorority together, so there is some sisterly,
okay.
They're not just like strangers who were thrown together. They're in the same sorority, and they all decided to live
All
together.
right, here's another huge complicating factor. If my dad gets murdered, you'll be able to narrow it down because he doesn't have any friends. You know, he only knows like 6 people at this point because he's 70.
It'll be
Yeah, but
easy.
these kids, like, think back to when you were in college and you were actually in college and you were 20 and 21 years old. How many people were in your close circle of friends group? Your close circle of friends group was probably 6, if not 12 people. And then, like, a regular group of people that you hung out with, like your whole clique and your crew and all their hangers ons and friends and boyfriends and girlfriends and roommates and whatever.
20.
Yeah, you were in a huge
Rolling loud back in the day. Yeah, a big group of
oh,
people.
man.
But among that group of people, you're right. You'll have like your core group of maybe your 4 friends, right? But then there's a larger group. Even in that group of 4, you have one
Okay.
that would be
So
your
now,
best friend. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
so then you go into a place that is, you know, socially tainted, for lack of a better word. So all of you and your 12 to 20 friends are all there with people that they've either dated or gotten in an argument with or sort of friends with, or this is my, you know, chem lab partner, or this is a dude that I had in computer lab last year, and this is a person that I was on the intramural basketball team with. And so when you come to get all these little tangents, you are connected just through that one night of social bouncing around between the football game, the frat party, the bar that we don't know about, the food truck, going back to the house where at least 10 people were staying, from what it sounds like, counting the killer. Yeah, there's a lot of loose ends to tie up. And if the police and FBI haven't done it by now, though, you got to start thinking they just don't know, and they might not know.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's people are starting to get a little bit. It's been 10 days. It's been 10 days, and there are 4. And this isn't just like they were butchered with a knife, and 2 people slept through it. I mean, James, there had to have been more than one person. How do you murder someone in their room, and that person that you've just stabbed to death doesn't make enough noise to alert anyone else in the house? I don't. And then you move to the next room and you murder the next person, and then you move to the third room where the couple is, and you murder both of them, and the 2 that are sleeping don't wake. I mean, James, right? I mean, there are some questions here. This is very strange. I think there may have been more than one murderer. Somebody, these 4 victims may have been taken hostage, or at least subdued and
Yeah,
quieted.
and that's what bothers you so much about this, because when it came to like the Gabby Petito case, we're like, he did it. We're just waiting for the final confirmation. We know exactly what happened. This dude's just hanging. If he's not on his way to Mexico, he's camping out in the Everglades. And we were right. We were absolutely right.
Yeah, we know exactly what it was. But this one is horrifying because these people all look so innocent and so kindly and just all middle of. Look at her.
Oh, she's
Look at that beautiful
beautiful.
young lady.
Oh, man.
Yes. I mean, my God. It's a scary one. Anyway, I think this story, if this some in this story doesn't break soon, I think this is going to start. This is the new Petito story. This is this is going to capture America's mystery loving attention.
Well, that is what made the John Benet Ramsey story last so long and have such a life, because it's still not solved. Like, we all have our theories, but this is one of those that it's not. How's this going to wrap up?
I don't think I do. I don't think I do, James. I don't think I have a John Benet Ramsey theory. I don't think I've thought about John Benet Ramsey in 20 years. I think that when you mentioned her name, I had to pause and think, wait, who's that? And then I pictured the little blonde girl in the cowboy
Right.
hat.
Well, the police will never be able to like take it to court and try and get closure on this, but we're all pretty sure the older brother did it, and the parents are just covering for it because they already lost one kid, and if he goes to jail, then they lose both of their kids, and he's 9, and they just want to protect him. I think is what kind of the general nodding consensus, but there's no closure there.
I got to brush up on that one. I don't remember. I just remember she was dead. I thought they caught somebody, and then they had to let somebody go, and then I was like,
yeah, some freak pretended to be the guy for a while.
And I also get John Benet Ramsey sometimes confused with Elizabeth Smart. Remember, was Elizabeth Smart? She was the one. Because John Benet was in Colorado, and the other one was in the mountains too, like in Utah, right? I always get them.
All right, hey, real quick, are you watching the World Cup?
I'm
Bro, we tied Wales.
Yes.
It was painful
I am.
on Monday,
Yeah.
but it's not over. We still have a chance. We can still tie England and beat Iran and get through. But look, we play England Friday at noon, and if we can get
How's that gonna go?
well,
How's that gonna
yeah,
go? We're gonna lose, and then we got to play Iran, and we're probably gonna lose Iran, and we're gonna be out in the first round.
don't say anything, man, because look, if we get a tie against England, then we are in a good spot. Because then all we have to do is
We can no tie against
We
England.
might.
That'd be like one
Listen.
of the great upsets of all time. They're gonna
No,
kill
the-
us. It's
the-
gonna be like 5-0.
the greatest upset in World Cup history just happened this week when Saudi Arabia beat
Ah,
Argentina. Saudi Arabia beat Argentina this week. We can tie England, and that's all we really need to do. That's good enough for a win for us, and then we'll coast in by beating Iran on Tuesday.
All right. Yeah, I'll watch. I watched us tie Wales. That was very satisfying after 100 minutes.
It's not even a whole country, man. It's like a piece of a country.
James, it was a sport. It was a sport that ended in a 1-1 tie. What? Here's my question for you, okay? And I'll leave you on this. And I'm going to watch the game against England. I'm trying. I am trying. Okay. So you play this game for however long, and you kicky ball, ball goes out of bounds, ball, just endless nothing happens for like 90 minutes. And then they get a penalty kick, and it's very exciting. The penalty kick's very exciting. And then they score. Everybody goes nuts. And it's 1-0 up. But why are you playing the game? Why can't the game just be penalty kicks? Why can't the game just be the penalty kicks are the exciting part? Why are you wasting everybody's time with all of these stupid 90 minutes of just kicking the ball out of bounds when you could really have a sport? You could really have something if it was just penalty kick after penalty
Well,
kick.
just stick around, because if another game ends up in a tie in the knockout round, you'll get penalty kicks. It'll be decided by penalty kicks. It'll be decided by 10 of them.
And the field is too big. Why is the field like 3 times bigger than a football
because
field?
if it's any smaller than that, it starts to look like hockey with a bunch of fluky goals, and it's trash. Big field.
Oh, I made a whole bunch of improvements while watching the game. A whole bunch of things that I would change to make the game more successful, especially for an American audience. And you know what I basically invented, James? Indoor soccer. Yes. I basically invented indoor soccer. I'm like, all of these ideas that I have, they were tried 40 years ago with indoor soccer, and that didn't
If
work.
soccer can solve the problem of flops, it will flourish in America. But until then, it is culturally repugnant to Americans, and understandably so. Flops ruin it.
We also got to do a countdown and not a count up. The count up is countdown. The count up is ridiculous, James. If it assumes that you know how long the game is. If you don't know what it's counting up to, you have no idea how much time is left. It's got to count down. Counting down makes sense. It's how you expand this one. All right. A lot of man buns too.
That's a feature, though, not a flaw. Now you know who to make fun of. You don't know who to make fun of in football because they cover their stupidity.
That's probably true. All right, there goes James. Happy Thanksgiving to him. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you guys. Have a great day, and we'll be back on Friday. We'll do a high noon show on Friday. And that's that with that. Okay, bye, everybody. Have a wonderful holiday. Yeah, holiday. I was trying to think, was that the right way to say it? It was. Bye, everybody.
Travel far from the comfort nest. I am on a never-ending quest. I am on a never-ending quest.